Okay, I think I mentioned in the last video that I was going to go over some of the boat systems, but I'm really kind of working on everything at the same time. So there's some continuity issues, and I don't really have enough videotape of that yet. I'm trying to focus on getting the boat in the water. So I want to show a little bit about the work I did on the keel next. What we can do about this keel. I think I'm going to hit it first with a wheel with an angle grinder, and then move on to some really rough grit sandpaper. The part rust red color was something I worked on last fall and got it down to bare metal, and put some rust on it to sort of protect it for the winter until I could come back to it. So that part should come off very quickly. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this was pretty painful. I did try to use a wire wheel on the angle grinder at first, and that just did nothing. The keel just laughed at it. So I quickly switched to a 40 grit flapper disc, and that allowed me to make some progress. But I spent hours doing this, and I probably went through 8 of those flapper discs. But I'm glad it's over. This keel hasn't had attention in 20 years probably. Okay, the keel coming along pretty nice. I've got everything loose, removed. Ended up using a 40 grit flapper disc on the then after that I went back with this 1/4 inch sort of ceramic grinding disc, just to knock a couple loose flakes off that the sanding disc wasn't getting. And I think now I'm just going to go over it once with a wire wheel, just to see if I can dig some of the paint out of the recesses a little better. And then I'll be wiping it down with a solvent. So after I wipe this thing down with a solvent and tack cloth, I mixed up the first batch of the Interprotect, and I'm applying it here, trying to get it down into all the little divots and into all the recesses where the keel bolts are. I was able to get the first coat of Interprotect on, and certainly a lot nicer looking than when I found it. And then that was it yesterday, and then this morning, actually just an hour ago, I started to put on some epoxy with the, what's it called, ultralight filler, something like that. You can see where all dents are. Micro, that's what it's called. So that was one batch with 2 pumps of each. I'll probably do it in 3 sections here. And in the morning I'll sand that flat and put on a coat of the white Interprotect. Also, the recesses with the bolts became very visible once I had them cleared out. There are actually 8 bolts per side, and I think 3 on this side have been replaced, and 5 a lot older. So I made note of that. I'm not going to do it here. At least I'll know which spots to begin digging next year if I replace a couple more. Okay, so I ground the whole keel down both sides, which was not fun, and then put a single coat of gray Interprotect 2000E on it, and then came back with fairing compound to filling in all these divots, which is just like the rustiness of the metal. The front half here I've already sort of sanded the fairing compound sort of flat. The back half I haven't sanded yet. And on the other side, I've put the compound on the front, and I'm about to put it on the rear. After that's totally smooth, I'll put a white coat of Interprotect on and another gray coat. Also, you can see here these holes, which bolts are clearly defined slot in the middle on the new one. And then there's the seam, which the caulk is pretty tight still for most of it. Some of it I was able to pick some out. I'm going to put some boat life caulk in there. In the back, the seam is much bigger. I dug a big, almost half-inch wad out, so I'm going to be laying it in pretty heavy. I think what I'll do then is take the Interprotect, the next coats, and just bring it past the seam, maybe 4 inches. I'm not going to do the whole bottom. So the keel has been ground all the way down. The gray coat of Interprotect, and then a first light coat of fairing compound. Now I'm in the process of just sanding that smooth. It didn't completely fill all the divots. I think some of them, maybe I had it mixed up too loose. Some of the fill sagged just slightly and left a little bit of a divot again, although not as deep as the original. So I'm going to just a little bit with sanding, wipe it down with some acetone, and put another thin coat on. Both sides have been done. I think after the next coat it should be okay, and then it'll be time for a second coat of Interprotect. So after sanding the first coat of filler down flat, I wiped it all down, and now I'm putting on a second coat to try and see if I can get these divots completely filled in and flush. Okay, work continues on the keel and it's starting to look pretty good. We on a coat of gray to protect, and then I applied some very light fairing compound to all the holes twice. Didn't quite completely eliminate the dimples. They're probably a third the number and a quarter the depth they used to be. Now, after the top of that, I put a white coat of Interprotect and now a gray coat again. And later today, the final coat, which I think will make 4 coats of white. And then seam between the flange at the top of the keel and the boat life, and also within the little recesses, and 2 coats of the Interprotect just gone right over the top. And so far that seems pretty good. Now, I didn't get video of it, but after I filmed this last clip, I did put a coat of white on, making a total of 4 coats, and it really looks pretty sharp.